Okay, so on the question of overdose, I think it's very important that people understand that we do not have a comprehensive program of supervised injection that can possibly impact population level rates of overdose. We have a small pilot facility. Our own estimates suggest that the facility covers between 5 to 10% of injections that occur in the neighborhood. And while we can use powerful research methodologies like prospective cohort studies to observe reductions in overdose in the sample, it's certainly not realistic to see that we're going to see a huge decline. The other thing is that we know overdose rates go up and down for reasons we don't really fully understand. So for example, we heard some members of the RCMP saying, "Oh, you know, it's March, and in the first 3 months of this year, we have more overdoses than we did in the first 3 months of last year. That must mean Insite's not working." Well, guess what? If you wait until next month, it was lower again. It goes up, it goes down. So we don't really know what the population level impact is, but there is an estimate from Australia suggesting that 1 in 3 overdoses involving opiates that occurs in the community results in an overdose death. There's been over 1,000 overdose events. We've studied the idea of risk compensation, that people are taking more risk because there's a response, and that doesn't seem to be happening. In fact, there's a reduction in non-fatal overdose among safe injection site users. And so we think on the basis of over 1,000 overdose events occurring that obviously many of these overdoses would have resulted in a death. So that's my comment on the overdose issue. It's a tricky one, and you know, it'll take a long time before we even have the answer with a cohort study. But you know, I've been there and witnessed some very severe overdoses involving intensive medical intervention, and we have a qualitative study that will help spearhead, which you can look at the accounts of drug users themselves. They say, "I'd be dead if it weren't for Insite." On the question of what would we do, a couple points. Don't be fooled. Insite is not our first supervised injection site in a medical facility. Supervised injection has been occurring in all kinds of places, in all kinds of underground ways, and some less underground ways. There has also been some unsanctioned sites that opened in response to delays to open up a site. But then there's also a whole other interesting dynamic relating to the professional obligations of nurses. And I'm wondering if we could get Maxine up here for just a minute to describe the experience of the Dr. Peters Center and what you know about professional obligations and the position of the Dr. Peters Center. Yeah.
You probably know it.
I think you probably do. For those of you who don't know, this is Maxine Davis, who's the executive director of the Dr. Peters Center. Many people think there's only one injection site in Vancouver. There's actually 2. And one of them is in the Dr. Peters Center, which is an adult day program for people living with HIV/AIDS and also a residence for people living with HIV/AIDS.
Thanks. So we opened the supervised injection service inside the Dr. Peters Center in 2002, I think it was. It was about a year before Insite opened. And we remained firm in our position, and we actually took the step we did because of a consultation with the College of Registered Nurses of British Columbia. We went and spoke with them, and they were very clear that supervising injection oh, hi, Alan. Alan is one of our nurses that came and sat me down as the executive director and said, "Maxine, what we are doing is unethical. To give people clean needles and send them out in the back alley is not right. They're incurring a lot of injuries, and we should be doing something as nurses." So back to the college. The college sat at our table and said exactly what I shared with you. It was within the scope of registered nursing practice to supervise injection for the purposes of preventing illness and preventing illness and promoting health. Promoting health, and another guru, nurse guru here. So we went off, and I'll make this very quick, we went off for a legal opinion and said, well, this is what the college says, from a legal perspective, what risk is the Dr. Peters Center taking? And they said, given the opinion of the College of Registered Nurses, you would actually be at more risk legally if you didn't do it. Because if someone died of an injection after being at your center, they went outside, injected, and some family member or friends or an advocacy group suggested that you failed to allow your nurses to practice according to their regulatory body, you would be certainly considered a contributor to that person's death. So, Insite, Harper can say what he wishes. We remain firm and we will remain open. And I hope that that in itself will lend us the courage and the opportunity to just, well, give him the finger or whatever, you know,
I think if I do another media conference on Insite, I'll have to just give up on research entirely. In 2006, I did 130 media interviews on Insite that resulted in over 250 media reports on radio, print, and TV. And I'm just one actor in this theater. There's been separate stories involving others than you, the Dr. Peters Center, and many other people involved. So there's actually been a huge amount of media around it. I think what's happened, though, is even though, again, the major newspapers have all come out with editorials supporting the science around Insite, what we've seen is the discourse get clouded by the federal government manufacturing uncertainty where it doesn't really exist. And I think that the public has got an unclear message, but we are working tirelessly to try and get the message out in all kinds of forms. And you know, I've personally done dozens of talks like this in an array of venues, and I'll be at the Strathcona Community Center with Jenny in a few hours talking to residents of the community down there as well. So we're doing a lot. It can become like a full-time job at times, and it's tough. But really, I think these dialogues help, but also I would turn the question around to everyone in this room and ask them what they're going to do to inform people, because I think one of the most powerful mechanisms is taking the opportunity to talk to people, raise the issue, hey, do you realize what's going on with this situation? We all can't do all of it. And I think also, I fully agree with Rick, we've gone through the conventional approaches of trying to disseminate science through the regular channels. We've invited we've said to the federal health minister, we'd be happy to sit down and personally present the research to you. We've done that with the RCMP. They still tell lies about the research, but he's never accepted our invitation. The Canadian Police Association can meet with him whenever they want, but we can't. And so I think that we're now at the point where we're looking at that next level, which is more direct action, activism, and litigation, and that's what's happening now.